My mom drained my college fund and blamed my dad's affair, but he was planning to save us all along. Have you ever felt like your own family is purposely sabotaging your future? That is exactly what I'm currently dealing with. My mother and sister recently forced me to turn down a great job offer at a major tech company in San Jose, and I'm still trying to absorb what occurred. Let me paint you a picture of how we arrived here. 2 years ago, my father died in a vehicle accident on his way home from work. He was the type of father who never missed any of my coding competitions or academic events, even when he was overburdened with work. Every Sunday morning we had this custom where he'd cook his famous pancakes, which were simply regular pancakes with chocolate chips, but he was so proud of them. He'd tell us stories from his college days while flipping them and cracking us up with his bad dad jokes. Prior to the accident, our family life was not perfect, but it was stable. My parents had troubles, as do all couples, but they balanced each other out nicely. Dad was the calm, analytical kind who could settle any issue with his careful reasoning, whereas Mom was more emotional and impetuous. They made it work, and our home felt secure and predictable. Everything changed following Dad's death. It wasn't simply the evident loss, it was as if our entire family dynamic had collapsed. Mom got emotionally dependent on my younger sister Alicia. Perhaps it was the other way around. Regardless, they created a tight, even smothering bond that made me feel like an alien in my own family. Alicia became the focus of Mom's universe, while I was consigned to the role of the responsible one who was supposed to sacrifice everything for the family's benefit. I should clarify about Alicia. Even before Dad died, she was always the most theatrical member of the family. I was the quiet kid who spent hours coding in my room, while she was the social butterfly who required constant attention. Dad used to balance Mom's tendency to accommodate Alicia's every desire, but now he was gone. There was no one to provide a reality check. Their relationship evolved gradually but unmistakably. Alicia's little crises escalated into family emergencies. When she didn't make the cheerleading squad in her senior year of high school, her mother let her miss school for a week and maxed up her credit card with comfort items. When she didn't get into her first choice institution, Mom spent 2 weeks calling administrators and even applying for a loan to make a donation to the school. Meanwhile, I tried to keep everything together. I maintained a 4.0 GPA in computer science, worked part-time at the university's IT department to help with costs, and cared for my younger brother Tommy. Tommy is such a sweet kid. He's the only one who still appears to regard me as a real person, rather than a tool to be utilized when necessary. I graduated from college this year with a computer science degree, and against all chances, I received an incredible job offer from one of San Jose's top IT businesses. The interview process was harsh, with 6 rounds of technical interviews, coding challenges, and behavioral tests. I prepared for months, staying up late to learn algorithms and data structures while also fulfilling my family responsibilities. When I received the offer letter, I couldn't believe my eyes. The base salary was $125,000, plus a signing bonus and stock options that made my head spin. This wasn't simply a job. It was an opportunity to start a genuine career, and potentially aid my family financially once I was established. I could finally repay all of the student loans I took out, because Mom couldn't co-sign for me. She was too busy repaying Alicia's shopping debts. But last week, Mom walked into my room with that expression on her face. The one that implies she's ready to deliver a bomb that will destroy everything. She sat on my bed, took up the plush penguin Dad got me for my 16th birthday, one of the few things I still have from him, and said, "Olivia, we need to talk about your job offer." My stomach fell quickly. She went on to tell me that Alicia was struggling with her first year of college and needed to take a vacation. She apparently has anxiety and needs to return home. This entails additional expenses, which Mom cannot handle alone. She advised me to ignore the San Jose offer and seek a local job instead, so that I could help with the finances and care for Tommy. Alicia's worry manifests itself mysteriously when things don't go her way. She had no issue performing in a 3-hour dance showcase last month. But when her teachers required her to attend morning courses, she experienced crippling social anxiety. She can spend hours at parties with her friends, documenting everything on Instagram, yet she supposedly has panic attacks when it comes time to study for examinations. I tried to reason with Mom. I spent hours showing her my financial plans, explaining how I would send money home once I had settled in, and even promising to assist Alicia in finding resources for her purported mental health difficulties. But Mom would not hear it. Family comes first, she kept stressing, as if my desires and goals were not important to the family's well-being. What is the worst part? While I was talking with Mom, Alicia was in her room, sharing images of her recent shopping trip on Instagram. The same sibling who claims she is too anxious to continue college spent hundreds of dollars on new clothes and makeup. I saw the receipts in her email. Yes, we have a family computer. She spent $876 at Sephora last week. That's more than I've spent on groceries in 2 months. When I pointed this up to Mom, she became defensive. Alicia is sensitive. She needs these things to feel better, she insisted. You have always been the strong one, Olivia. You can deal with disappointment better. That's when it hit me. I was the strong one in this family, which meant that my feelings and dreams were irrelevant. The following days were a flurry of anxiety and desperate planning. I contacted my college advisor, who was outraged by the scenario but couldn't provide much assistance. I called the company's HR department to explain my predicament and request additional time, but they could only extend the deadline by a few days. Without family assistance or a co-signer for an apartment contract in San Jose, my options were quickly dwindling. I even attempted to appeal to Mom's sensible side. I produced a detailed spreadsheet demonstrating how my San Jose salary will benefit the family more in the long run than a local job paying half the amount. I looked for local therapists that could help Alicia cope with her anxiety while still allowing her to attend school. I volunteered to schedule regular video conversations with Tommy to keep involved in his life. Nothing worked. Mom's response, "Your father would be so disappointed in you for being so selfish." This hurt more than anything else. Dad was the one who bought my first computer, stayed up late to help me debug my first programs, and always encouraged me to dream big. Using his memory to control me seemed like a new low. Then something unexpected occurred. My Uncle James, Dad's younger brother, arrived at our home unannounced. He's always been the cool uncle who pays attention, but we hadn't seen much of him since Dad's burial. He'd apparently been trying to call Mom for weeks, but she was ignoring him. He looked at my face and knew something was amiss. While Mom was preoccupied with Alicia's current crisis, she was crying because someone had unfollowed her on Instagram. Uncle James and I sat on the back porch, where Dad used to educate me about constellations on clear evenings. I told him everything. The job offer, Mom's demands, Alicia's spending habits, and how I felt like I was losing my future. Tommy came out to join us as I was speaking, cuddling up next to me as he often does when he notices I'm angry. He's remarkably insightful for a 10-year-old. Tommy acquired Dad's quiet brilliance and empathy, whilst Alicia inherited Mom's looks and dramatics. Since Dad's death, he has been my primary source of genuine affection in this house. Instead of simply sympathizing, Uncle James had a determined expression in his eyes, similar to how Dad would appear when he was solving a problem. "Your dad would never have wanted this for you," he replied, his voice firm but gentle. Then he made me an offer that would change everything. He has a guest home near his business in a city about an hour from San Jose, and he's prepared to let me stay there for free until I get established. He even offered to co-sign any required loans. While we were conversing, I received a text from my probable future manager at the IT company. She stated she was impressed with my interviews and was excited to have me on the team. They are working on several cutting-edge AI initiatives that are completely aligned with my interests. Reading that message while sitting next to the lone adult who seemed to care about my future felt like the universe was sending me a signal. For the first time in weeks, I felt hopeful. However, when we informed Mom about this possibility, she exploded. The transition was sudden and frightening. She transformed from the passive-aggressive manipulator I had become accustomed to into someone I hardly knew. She accused me of abandoning the family, branded me selfish, and then dropped an unexpected bombshell. "You're just like your father. Always putting yourself first." Uncle James intervened quickly, telling Mom she was out of line. He reminded her that Dad had worked tirelessly to support this family, that he had taken a late shift at work, the one he was traveling home from when the tragedy occurred, to pay for Alicia's dance classes. The fight that followed was heated, with Alicia joining in to call me selfish and Tommy crying in the corner. The things Mom said during that dispute indicated a lot about how she truly regards me. Apparently, I have always been difficult. Even as a child, my preference for academics above socialization was unusual. Even my decision to study computer technology rather than something more suitable for a girl reflected my rebellious nature. It seemed as if years of animosity had finally been released. I'm currently sitting in my room, surrounded by half-packed boxes. Uncle James urged me to begin packing, just in case. I'm trying to figure out what to do next. On one side of my laptop screen, there is a job offer letter, and on the other, there are San Jose apartment ads. The deadline is tomorrow, at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Uncle James is downstairs, ready to assist me in moving out, if that's what I want. But Mom's warning to cut me off completely if I leave still rings in my ears. Tommy left a note under my door a few minutes ago. In his shaky handwriting he added, "I love you, Olivia. Dad would want you to be happy." I'm trying not to cry on the page while writing this. I realize this is long, but I needed to get it out. I understand that this is tricky, but am I wrong in wanting to take advantage of this opportunity? Should I give up my work to protect the harmony in the family? Should I accept Uncle James's offer, risking losing my relationship with Mom and Alicia? I've spent my entire life as the responsible one, the one who is dependable and willing to make compromises. For once, I'd like to select myself. But my guilt is eating me alive. What if Mom is correct? What if I'm being selfish? I will provide an update after I have reached a decision. My hands are shaking so terribly that I can hardly type this. If you've read this far, I appreciate it. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for the overwhelming reaction. I read every remark, even if I can't respond to all of them. Uncle James is assisting me in evaluating my alternatives, and I will provide an update as soon as possible. Update 1. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everyone who left positive comments on my previous post. Your remarks provided me the strength to make a decision. I accepted the job offer and sought Uncle James's assistance. But what occurred next surprised me. The morning after I made my decision, I got up early to begin transferring my belongings. Mom and Alicia weren't talking to me, as I expected. I didn't expect to see my laptop missing from my desk. Following a frenzied hunt, I discovered it in Alicia's room. She attempted to send an email denying my employment offer from my account. Thankfully, she was unaware of the two-factor authentication I had set up. When confronted, Mom defended her. Alicia was just trying to protect our family. That's when I knew I'd made the proper choice. Uncle James helped me load everything into his vehicle while Mom and Alicia watched from the window, not even coming down to say goodbye. Only Tommy ran out to hug me, putting his favorite action figure in my pocket and murmuring, "For good luck." The drive to Uncle James's house was relatively peaceful. He didn't force me to communicate, just let me analyze everything while my favorite indie rock station played softly in the background. It reminded me of drives I used to take with Dad to clear my mind. Getting situated in the guest house was weird. It's little but ideal for me. A studio with a tiny kitchen and a workstation by the window. Uncle James had already set up a workstation for me, complete with 2 monitors. "Your dad would have wanted you to have the right setup," he told me. The true shock occurred as I was organizing my documents for the new employment. I discovered an old envelope in Dad's work briefcase that Uncle James had kept in storage. Inside were letters from Dad to each of us kids, intended to be opened when we turned 25. I know I shouldn't have opened mine so early, but with everything going on, I needed some connection with him. The letter altered everything. Dad described his own experiences with family pressure. When he was younger, his parents wanted him to take over their modest business, but he chose to study engineering instead. He wrote about how happy he was of my interest in technology and hoped I'd have the fortitude to pursue my aspirations, even if it meant making difficult decisions. But there was something else in the envelope. Bank statements indicating that Dad had established a separate savings account for my college tuition. I never knew about this account, which had enough money to fund at least 2 years of tuition. When I showed these to Uncle James, his expression worsened. He made some calls and discovered that Mom had somehow acquired access to this account, following Dad's death, and fully depleted it. I started a new job yesterday. The staff is great, and the projects are even more exciting than I anticipated. My boss personally led me around and introduced me to everyone. During lunch, she mentioned that she had been cheering for me since my interview, especially after I solved a particularly difficult coding problem in an unusual way. Mom has been phoning non-stop since I left, leaving voicemails alternating between guilt and rage. Alicia wrote a lengthy diatribe on social media about how I had abandoned the family. I blocked them both because I need time to focus on my new beginning. Uncle James helped me open a separate bank account from Mom's, and I'm learning about financial independence from a coworker who also offers personal finance classes. I'm also looking at therapy choices that are covered by my new health insurance. The toughest part is missing Tommy. We video chat every night before his bedtime while Mom attends her evening yoga session. He had been telling me about his science project, and his eyes brightened up when I offered to help him code a simple game for it. I keep rereading Dad's letter anytime I'm feeling guilty. One statement in particular strikes out. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose your own path, even when others try to hold you back out of their own fear. There's more to look into with the education fund, and Uncle James is assisting me in gathering information. I'll provide another update once I have more information. For the time being, I'm focusing on learning my new work and creating my new life, one day at a time. Update 2. It has been 3 weeks since my previous update. I regret the delay, but what I discovered necessitated thorough investigation and legal consulting before I felt safe publishing. Remember the college fund that I mentioned discovering in Dad's papers? Uncle James and I have spent the past few weeks trying to figure out what happened to that money. What we discovered was far worse than we had feared. With the help of Dad's old bank colleague, we discovered that Mom had not only accessed one account, but had systematically depleted multiple accounts Dad had set up. There was a college fund for me, another for Tommy's future schooling, and a general emergency fund. All were emptied within months, following Dad's death. Last week, Mom sent me a lengthy email. She sought to get ahead of the narrative, indicating that she was aware we were investigating. The email began with a half-hearted apology for possibly being too harsh, but gradually evolved into something else entirely. She wrote, "There is something you should know about your father. When I was pregnant with you, he had an affair." The email went on to explain how she uncovered the affair, how Dad sought forgiveness, and how she gently accepted him back. She claimed this was why she had always been away from me, that I reminded her of that horrible moment. She concluded by offering that if I discontinued my research into the accounts, we could focus on repairing our relationship. Here's the thing. Her story didn't add up. Uncle James and I dug through Dad's old records and discovered something unusual. While Mom alleged Dad was having an affair, he was actually working double shifts to pay off Mom's credit card debt. We discovered old credit card statements with enormous charges from that time period, all made by Mom. The major surprise occurred when we realized Dad's old email address was still operational. We discovered years of correspondence with his lawyer discussing his concerns about Mom's spending habits. He had been recording everything, safeguarding valuables, and establishing separate accounts for his children's futures. He wasn't having an affair, he was attempting to shield us from Mom's financial recklessness. The emails also showed something heartbreaking. Dad had intended to leave Mom. Not for another lady, but because he was concerned about her influence on the children. The accident occurred only 2 weeks before he planned to file for divorce. I took all of this material to the lawyer that Uncle James recommended. She was appalled. Apparently, what Mom did with the accounts following Dad's death was not only immoral, but unlawful. She had fabricated documents to obtain access to accounts that she was not permitted to touch. The lawyer also discovered anything concerning Alicia's alleged college expenses. The reason Mom said she needed my help were mostly spent on shopping sprees and luxury stuff. We discovered credit card bills indicating purchases at high-end retailers, spa treatments, and even a secret spring break trip to Cancun, all while Alicia was allegedly too anxious to attend lectures. I spent hours scrolling through Alicia's social media posts, chronicling every extravagant purchase, luxury vacation, and shopping spree. The time frame coincides exactly with the loss of money from Dad's accounts. Mom wasn't just allowing Alicia's behavior, she was sponsoring it with money that was legally intended for all of us. The lawyer claims we have a good case of financial fraud. The data left by Dad, together with the paper trail of Mom's activities following his death, creates a clear picture of systematic theft and deception. Tommy's predicament is what concerns me the most right now. He's still living in that toxic environment, seeing Mom and Alicia spend money that should have gone for his future. Uncle James is exploring our options for obtaining custody. The lawyer believes we may have a case, particularly given the financial malfeasance. I have not responded to Mom's email yet. The lawyer advised against any direct communication at this time. But Mom and Elysia must sense something is wrong, because they've launched a social media smear campaign against me, portraying me as the ungrateful daughter who abandoned her family for a high-paying tech career. The truth is that learning of Dad's impending divorce has been both painful and validating. It's painful because Dad died before he could shield us from Mom's toxic conduct. But it's also validating since it shows he knew what was going on. He wasn't naive to Mom's manipulation and financial abuse. He was actively working to stop it. I'm preparing all of the documentation for legal action. Uncle James has been great throughout this process, spending countless hours assisting me in building our case. My employment is going well, and my team has been understanding of my need for occasional personal time to deal with things. The coming weeks will be critical as we move forward with legal processes. I'll post another update when I can, but for the time being, I need to focus on constructing our case and staying emotionally healthy through it all. My company's health insurance provides therapy, so I started seeing someone to help me digest things. At least I now know the truth. Dad was not the villain in Mom's story. He tried to be our hero to the end. Update 3. The previous 6 weeks have been a blur of legal proceedings, life changes, and final decisions. What began with discovering Dad's buried letter has resulted in a full overhaul of our lives. The court case moved quickly, thanks to the tremendous evidence we had. The judge was particularly concerned about Mom's methodical depletion of Tommy's education money. The most incriminating proof came from Mom's scrupulous record-keeping. She had logged every unlawful transfer in her personal planner, perhaps not expecting anyone to uncover it. When Mom was presented with the evidence in court, her veneer finally shattered. She admitted to everything, falsifying documents to gain access to Dad's accounts, squandering insurance funds, and systematically concealing financial data. The judge's decision was straightforward: full restoration of all diverted cash, plus interest. Mom is currently facing criminal charges for fraud. Elysia's reaction was revealing. Instead of supporting Mom, she quickly distanced herself, claiming she had no idea where the money for her shopping sprees came from. Her Instagram influencer hopes were dashed when the court ordered her to return all products purchased with misappropriated monies. The most significant success was gaining custody of Tommy, rather than the financial settlement. When the judge recognized the pattern of financial abuse and deception, as well as evidence of Mom's continued harmful behavior, she gave me interim custody, with Uncle James serving as co-guardian. Tommy moved in with me last week, and the difference is already evident. He's smiling more, sleeping better, and is enthused about the coding projects we're working on together. My career has accelerated in ways I never expected. My initiative has piqued the interest of high management, and I have been elevated to team leader. The steadiness of my employment and income played a crucial role in the custody decision. Mom made one final attempt at manipulation, offering to forgive everything, provided I dropped the accusations and returned Tommy. Her lawyer instructed her to stop when I provided recordings of her threatening phone calls. Elysia has been making passive-aggressive posts about toxic family members and betrayal, but her popularity has dwindled since she was forced to return her designer outfit. She's moved in with a friend, refusing to live with Mom now that the money has run out. Uncle James has been my rock throughout this. He's helped Tommy set up his new room, located a terrific school nearby, and even opened a new college fund for him, which Mom can't access. We have weekly family dinners where we talk about Dad's pleasant memories, which are slowly healing after years of manipulation. The guest house has become our home. Tommy's room is filled in science posters and programming flowcharts that we created together. He's joined a robotics club at his new school, and his passion reminds me of Dad. I started therapy to analyze everything, and it's helping me realize that none of this was my fault. Dad tried to protect us, and now I'm continuing what he started. Looking back at my initial post, I can't believe how far we've come. From nearly giving up on my aspirations to now completely realizing them while providing Tommy with the secure home he deserves. Mom and Elysia's true colors were revealed, but losing them gave us something more valuable: truth and freedom. To those who may be in similar situations, believe your intuition. If something feels off, it probably is. Sometimes the family you choose is more significant than the one you are born into. Thank you for giving me the courage to research while my world was collapsing. Your encouragement gave me the courage to fight for justice, not just for myself, but for Tommy and Dad's memory. You transformed our life,